Welcome to Touch 'em All Sports Radio. Today is April 2nd, 2018. Excuse me. My name is Justin Franklin, and today I'm by myself. Yes, that's right. Ethan Payne not in the studio with us today. He is taking a extra long Easter weekend at the beach. So, if you're a fan of me, then today is your lucky day. But if you're here for Ethan, then skip through this one. But a lot to talk about today. I hate that Ethan's not here. I hope you had a great Easter weekend, opening weekend for Major League Baseball. Let's talk about that. A lot of good things if you're an Atlanta Braves fans. A lot of good things. Dansby's finally starting to come to fruition, I think. He had a pretty good weekend. We'll talk about the Final Four. We'll recap that. We'll preview the NCAA Basketball Championship, which is tonight. And we'll have a recap at the very end of the show. So let's talk about MLB opening weekend. The Atlanta Braves, opening day, walk-off, 3-run home run. Thanks, Nick Markakis. If you're a Braves fan, you saw a lot of good stuff. So as a Braves fan, that's what we're going to stick with today. A lot of good things. Like I said, Dansby Swanson is turning into the player that we always knew he could be. Phillies manager Gabe Kepler is probably the worst manager of all time. Burnt 18 Phillies pitchers in 3 games and already had a position player pitching on Saturday night. It just stalls the game as long as he can on purpose. In the game on Friday night between the Braves and the Phillies lasted 4+ hours. I personally love it, but the league and Rob Manfred, the new commissioner who's working on shortening the games, I'm sure he's not a big fan of this. And there was an incident over the weekend where Kepler walked out to the mound to make a pitching change, and he didn't even have a pitcher in the bullpen warmed up. So they stood there for 2.5, 3 minutes while this guy warmed up in the bullpen. Then he came out and expected to get more warm-up pitches, and the umpires were like, no, come on now. And it led to Brian Snitker's ejection. Brian Snitker was ejected 2 of 3 games over the weekend, and I personally love it. I think he had a legitimate argument each time. The first one was on opening day, a called third strike swing on Dansby Swanson. The next inning, next batter up for the Phils, same thing called. It was called a ball. Same swing, same pitch, everything. It was called a ball. He had a legitimate argument. So Snitker was yelling from the dugout, and he's tossed before he even stepped foot out of the dugout. So you had the third base umpire knew what was going on. He knew that he messed up. So that's why he ejected him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The third base umpire messed up. Brian Snitker really is a great manager as far as getting behind his players, supporting his players, and protecting his players. The way he manages a bullpen and a lineup, that's neither here nor there. And here's another thing that I'm already talked out about is Giancarlo Stanton. I'm tired of the league riding his back. Yeah, he's on the Yankees, and yeah, it's a star-studded team. But like, when they win, that's when I'll talk about them. Is when they really win and they impress me and they do some stuff. But right now, it's just Giancarlo Stanton hitting home runs. I mean, I think they split, or they might have. I don't think they won the series with the Blue Jays this weekend. I know they won opening day, but the Blue Jays, I think, took 2 out of 3 from them. That's the Blue Jays. So, I don't know. And here's another thing. Speaking of home runs, is the MLB fixed? Like, people are thinking that the balls are juiced and that they're hitting home runs on purpose. Is that something that is possible? Yeah, I'm sure, but people seem to think that MLB is fading, and that people don't want to watch the MLB because it's boring. It's a long baseball game, and people say baseball is boring. But people like to watch home runs, and they like to watch, like big, amazing plays. So that's a thing that people are putting into a conspiracy theory, is that the balls are juiced. Maybe, possibly. I doubt it. I think it's just, people have a legitimate argument for it, but I just think that hitters are becoming better hitters and pitchers are becoming less pitchers. I guess I didn't do a whole lot of research on that. But maybe they're trying too hard to broaden the audience. That's something I have written down in my notes. Trying too hard to broaden the audience? Question mark. Baseball's a growing sport over the last couple of years. People know who Giancarlo Stanton is, and people know who Aaron Judge is, and more people play MLB 18 The Show, and more people are buying jerseys. So I guess that's good. I guess they're doing something right. That's for sure. So let's talk about the Final Four and the NCAA basketball championship. Ethan and I, our brackets are busted. No matter how you put it, it busted in like the first week, and Ethan's not even here, and I can tell that he's frustrated just thinking about it. But Loyola Chicago and Michigan went down to the wire. Michigan ended up picking up the win, and that poses a question: was Loyola Chicago a legitimate team, an 11 seed, but they were in the Final Four? Sure, they had a easy path, but they beat these teams soundly. I think they're legit. I think they were the team. But I mean, they were a good team. They were not the team, obviously. But this being here, I think that Villanova now has the clear path to win. They're my favorite. Loyola did soundly beat all their opponents prior to Michigan. So that, even though they were an 11 seed and the path was easy, they didn't run into a lot of challenges. I think that they were a legitimate team because of how soundly they beat their opponents. That's just me, though. So the national championship is tonight. We will talk about that on Wednesday. I have more to talk about on Wednesday, but let's get back to baseball. Let's talk about the Braves. The Braves start a 3-game series with the Washington Nationals tonight, and this does not necessarily show how good the Braves will be or can be, because the Braves are on the tail end of their rotation, and they're missing 2 catchers. Tyler Flowers went down on opening day. Next game, Kurt Suzuki goes down. And then they're with their backup catcher, Chris Stewart. So it doesn't really show the true Atlanta Braves roster or lineup. And they're also on the tail end of the pitching rotation. Sean Newcomb will be the starter tonight. So, but it also goes the same for the Washington Nationals. They've only played 2 games. So we'll see the tail end of their rotation, the mid to the tail of their rotation. So, but they've still got Bryce Harper is the thing. And as much as I hate to admit it, and I'm sure Ethan's got a big smile on his face right now, Bryce Harper's good, and the Braves are going to have to really work around him, figure a way out to kind of cool his bat off already, as we're only in the second series of the year. And as much as I hate to say it again, the Nationals are the favorite to win the East, so I'm not expecting a sweep out of the Braves, but it won't be just a walk, like a cakewalk, like it has been in the past. The Braves are different this year. If you watched any Braves baseball over the weekend, you know that it's a different team and it's a different feeling when you watch it. I definitely got that vibe as I watched opening day and I watched the next 2 games over the weekend. And this team is different. They know that they've got a chance now, and it's good. It's fun to watch. The Braves, Mike Foltynewicz he's changed the way he kind of pitches. It's faster. He's got a lot more movement on the ball, and it's great. And he had a solid outing Friday night, especially for your first outing of the year. Solid, wasn't too bad at all. Dansby Swanson went 3 for 4 on the night, Friday night. Had a hit or 2 on opening day, maybe 1, and then on Saturday the Braves soundly beat the Phillies 15-2. The future's now for Braves fans. I said that on a couple other shows. The Braves are coming. The Braves are on the come up, if you will, and it's fun. It's a good time to be a Braves fan, and this is what I'm really excited for. I really don't have a whole lot else for the show today. I'm gonna try to keep it short. Ethan's not here, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. But we'll talk about what's going to go on Wednesday, our next show. Coach Morrison and Coach Burnham will be on here. They'll be in the studio. We'll have Ethan back. We're going to talk spring practice. We're going to talk football, a whole lot of football. Maybe we'll try to talk some baseball with them. I know Coach Morrison had some baseball activities over the weekend in Athens. But I'm really looking forward to that. That's all I've got for today, folks. This has been a Touch 'em All sports briefing. I hope you've had a great Easter weekend. See you on Wednesday. Go Braves.